Korea, on the other side, is also a nuclear weapon state in East Asia, and it poses a serious challenge to the US hegemony, for example, in East Asia, where Japanese and South Koreans, they are facing threat from the North Korean missile and from the North Korean nuclear capability. So that's why United States of America is trying to install hard Aegis and Patriot air defense systems in that area. Security at what cost? Is it free? No, it is not free. The pursuit of security always involves costs, the sacrifice of other goals that could have been pursued with the resources devoted to security. For example, our budget is about $11 billion. If we had not faced any threat from India, we could have spent that money on the social well-being, on the medical equipment, on the education, for example. So Pakistan sacrificed all these things for security. Why? Because Pakistan is facing existential threats from India. The specification of this dimension of security policy is important because writers sometimes imply that cost do not matter. Cost does matter. For example, if you take the US engagement in the Korean War, United States of America paid a huge price. They lost more than 36,000 soldiers in that particular war, and huge financial cost was also had to be borne by the United States of America at that time. Chinese also faced huge casualties in that particular war. North Koreans and other countries, they also faced these casualties. So basically, security always entail cost. If you look at the death toll of wars since 9/11, Iraq faced more than 300,000 casualties. Syria, almost close to 180,000 casualties. Afghanistan, 160,000 casualties almost. Yemen, Pakistan. So all these countries, they have faced serious challenges, serious threats. If you look at the US, wars and different wars in which the world faced or the world suffered, these wars were really expensive. For example, if you look at the World War I, it was almost close to $4 trillion. The Vietnam War cost the US with $150 billion, for example. Iraq War was more than $1 trillion. Afghanistan War was also a very expensive war. So security is not easy. Security is not free. It has got cost. It entails heavy cost. For example, currently, if you look at the defense budgets around the globe, according to 2018 estimates, the US had a defense budget of about $600+ billion, which was a huge budget. At the same time, many other countries like Chinese, they also had a huge budget. Currently, if you look at the current stats, United States of America's defense budget is more than $700 billion. And if you analyze the defense budget of other states, including China, India, Russia, Saudi Arabia, France, Germany, and others, you will see that their budget is also close to the US budget. So which is, about $700 billion plus. So basically, security entails heavy cost, and you cannot expect security without cost. United States of America paid huge cost in the war, in Iraq war, in Afghan war, and they lost, thousands of soldiers and billions of dollars of losses in those wars. So that is the issue which you need to understand. Another important aspect is in what time period? Security in what time period? The most rational policies for security in the long run may differ greatly from those for security in the short run. In the short run, a high fence, a fierce dog, and big gun may be useful ways to protect oneself from the neighbors. But in the long run, you have to maintain good ties with neighbors. For example, if you analyze this particular aspect, you will analyze it in the positive peace and negative peace aspect. Pakistan and India, for example, both countries currently they are enjoying negative peace. They developed nuclear weapons. They evolved conventional capabilities. They bought aircraft. They bought tanks. They bought air defense systems. So currently they are not attacking each other. So is it a positive peace, or is it a long-term security? No, it is not a long-term security. So how they are going to get long-term security? They are going to get long-term security when they settle their issues, when they improve their ties, when they turn this border of confrontation into border of cooperation. So this is the idea behind that. You need to understand this concept that security must be in for the long run, and the policies must be devised in which you can get long-term security. The most important aspect of security is not the military security only or the traditional security. Human security or human aspect of security is also very important in modern times. And what is human security? Freedom from fear, conflict, violence, crime. This is also security. Freedom for want, poverty, infections, diseases, environmental degradation. Today, thousands of Indians, they are dying because of the lack of oxygen. They don't have these capabilities. Now they're spending more than $70 billion on their defense, but their allocation for the medical is very less. So this is the reason that their approach was different. Same is the case in Pakistan. So far, we are not facing that situation in coronavirus, but since we are also not, focusing more on defense or other human security aspects. So we hope that our government would think about that. So human security involves economic security, food security, health security, environmental security, personal security, community security, and political security. So all these things which are related to individual, human, society, they are called as human security. And let's in detail discuss about this. As I told you before, the national security is also linked with all these aspects. National security is basically the comprehensive security which a state gets, in which your economic security is paramount. You need to secure yourself. You need to protect your premium assets from any external aggression or any internal aggression, and you need to secure your economic interests. So this is the reason that Pakistan linked Pakistan's economic security with its nuclear weapons or nuclear policy. Pakistan have clearly mentioned its non-declared nuclear doctrine that Pakistan will use nuclear weapons if any country try to carry out economic strangulation of Pakistan, or if they try to block Pakistani maritime boundaries, or try to block water to Pakistan. So Pakistan will use nuclear weapons against that state. So economic security is paramount for Pakistan. Then you got monetary security, your financial security, energy security is also must, that you need to fulfill the energy demand of your country. Environmental security is linked with your global warming and all these issues. So you need to ensure that you secure your country from these environmental hazards. Military security is one aspect of national security in which you develop your capabilities conventionally, non-conventionally, to cope up with the emerging security challenges which are taking place in the region. Political security is, of course, it is also a very important concept in which you need to have independence, political independence, in which you can decide about any political party. You can contest elections without any threat or fear. Security of national resources is also paramount in national security, in which you would like to always protect your national resources, your assets. Governance also comes in national security. Security from terrorism and cyber attacks, non-traditional security aspects, that is also paramount in national security. And that is the reason that Pakistan have always taken this threat seriously, especially after 9/11. Pakistan conducted many operations in tribal areas in Balochistan and tried to cope up with this threat. Although Pakistan paid a huge cost, for example, 80,000 people were killed, 7,000 soldiers were perished, and more than $200 billion of economic losses were there. But Pakistan ensured that Pakistan would secure itself from these threats, like, for example, terrorism and others. So basically, all these aspects are very important when it comes to security. Security dilemma is another concept which is also very important and needs to be understood. For example, in a nutshell, in a very simple, in a layman's language, when one state acquire capabilities and try to get more and more